Atletico Madrid. They have drawn with Espanyol today, 0-0. Um, 0-0 in a disappointing result for Atletico Madrid. Their second disappointing result of this La Liga campaign, as they so far in their first three matches have a total of 1 win and 2 draws. They had that impressive result, impressive performance this weekend, being able to defeat Girona team that had a really good season last season. They were able to defeat them 3-0 in sort of clinical fashion, behind goals from Griezmann, Llorente, and Koke. But today they finished stalemate, just as they did in their opening game of their La Liga campaign, as they finished with that tie for 2-2 with Villarreal in a crazy first half sort of display from those teams. It finished 2-2. And I have to say, in this game, Atletico Madrid in that first half, they played Espanyol out of the park. They had a good possession. They played with a high level of energy, high level efficiency, and they looked very at it. They looked like an attacking power horse that that was able to dominate the game in terms of being able to create chances, and not surprisingly, in the fact that they're doing that against Espanyol, a team that's one of the more weaker teams in La Liga, a team that's expected to be in the round of the relegation battle, trying to stay up. This is an Espanyol team that this is I'm trying to see where they. This is an Espanyol team that's newly promoted up this season, and they're gonna be in a battle to, they're gonna be in the battle to stay up in La Liga. They started off the first two games with losses to Valladolid and Real Sociedad, and this is the first point that they've earned this season, and they did it away at the Metropolitano, which is which makes this even worse of a result for Atletico Madrid. Now, going back in that first half, completely dominated the game, created multiple opportunities with their with players getting in behind, making runs. You had Sorlos, he had a few opportunities, being sort of that target man, sort of number 9, that presence up there. I think there was one great opportunity they had was Rodrigo de Ball. He played in the ball behind Samuel Lino that was making a run from midfield. And in my opinion, Samuel Lino makes a big mistake. He decides to go for a goal, and he hits the post. But if you were just to look up and notice, there was I don't know whether it was Griezmann or Julian Alvarez, but there was an Atletico Madrid that was there, and it would have been that he could have slid it to. That would have made it an easy tap in into an empty net. Instead, he decides to go for himself, doesn't really have the presence of mind to look up in that sort of situation. He's only looking at goal, and he strikes the post, and that's a big miss that essentially ended up costing them the game, because it would have been hard if Atletico Madrid was able to get that goal, because that goal was early enough in the game. It would have forced Espanyol to open up, and I think Atletico Madrid, with the quality that they had in terms of possession and play, I think they would have been able to get the second, but that doesn't get through, and then it's just continuing on to be a struggle to get that moment in the back of the net. And then in the first half, that was in the first half, and then the second half, it took them a while to get loaded. Closer to the end of the game, they started creating more opportunities, but that first 20-25 minutes was very stalemate. And I see it on the broadcast that I was watching on the post-game show. They were saying that the substitutions, taking out Sorlos, taking out Julian Alvarez, messed with the momentum of the game. And I have to agree with that, because look, despite Atletico Madrid not being able to get the ball into the back of the net, there was no problems in terms of their approach, in terms of the performance. The performance was really good. They were very lively. They were creating a lot of opportunities. They just needed that a moment to come to get it into the back of the net. I didn't see the sense of panic that came from Diego Simeone needed at that moment to make those, drastic substitutions that completely changed, sort of the rhythm of the game for Atletico, which we could see on the pitch in terms of the performance. Those first 20-25 minutes, it was pretty unnecessary, and it was in my opinion, a blunder by Diego Simeone, because it was substitution that was not needed. If it's not broken, don't fix it. Yes, they didn't get the goal, but they played some really really good football, and it's a bad result. It's a really bad result for Atletico Madrid, because you're Atletico Madrid, you're out here, you're battling. You're out here battling with this new team that you have. You bring in Conor Gallagher, you bring in Sorlas, you bring in Julian Alvarez. You're battling in terms of wanting to be up there in La Liga, wanting to potentially challenge for La Liga, competing with the likes of Real Madrid and even Barcelona, who started off 3-3. And if you're a team like Atletico Madrid, these are the sort of games going up against a newly promoted side in Espanyol at home, with the atmosphere and how electric that crowd was, because it was an electric atmosphere. To not get the win is very disappointing, and it's a bad result at the end of the day. It is a bad result. Going back to it though, reading the statistics, it showed Atletico Madrid, they were the more forward-going team. They were the team going more at it. When you look at 25 shots for Atletico Madrid to 8 shots for Espanyol, 7 shots on target for Atletico Madrid to 1 shot on target for Espanyol, 63% possession for Atletico Madrid to 37% for Espanyol. They just couldn't find it back of the net. And it's disappointing. With Julian Alvarez being subbed out, that's interesting there too, because Julian Alvarez, he is that sort of the talisman for Atletico Madrid. Now at this point, with what he's done, with the quality he has, he's going to be the guy that's going to be relied upon Atletico Madrid when they're going up against these big time teams in the Champions League or even in La Liga, to make that moment out of nothing. He is the player with the most quality, and he is the best. He's the player on the team that has the biggest capabilities of being able to make a play out of nothing right now. Him and Griezmann. And to sub him and to sub him out as early as you subbed him out, as Diego Simeone subbed him out, is something that should be questioned on. In my opinion, it is something to be questioned on. But here's the bigger story for Atletico Madrid. This is so many years now that we've thought, okay, they've signed this player, they signed that player. It's time for them to really compete with Barcelona and Real Madrid, and to put up, those sort of performances. We know what we usually associate when it comes to Diego Simeone, Atletico Madrid, in terms of being defensive, very defensive, pragmatic. But now we're expecting we've expected for a while now a more forward-going, expansive team that's really going to be able to dominate games, especially against weaker opposition, and hence they start competing tighter with Barcelona, with Real Madrid. But year after year, we're really expecting just that bit more. We see some good signs from Atletico in preseason early on, in terms of a good set of attacking play, attacking dominance, being able to control the game with the ball, really suffocating teams. But then as the season goes on, and you start getting tunnel vision, players start getting tunnel vision, Diego Simeone starts getting tunnel vision, and they start playing some of these tougher opposition, and the pressure starts mounting, and some players go down with injuries, or the confidence goes a little bit more. Then they resort to their style of play, to what Diego Simeone is comfortable with, putting 11 men on the ball, behind the ball, making it a strictly transition game, and allowing the other team to have the ball and forcing them to break down this really low, tight block that's unpenetrable. And look, I'm not one of those people that really mind that sort of football. I think every football, every sort of style of play, every sort of tactics, different ways of going about it, I think they all have the beauty. And I really despise the people that disrespect this sort of style of play, in terms of playing a defensive, style, the way, because I respect it. I respect the sort of, the way Diego Simeone wants to win a football game. I respect it a lot. But at the end of the day, you do need a little bit of balance, and you do need to look a little bit more threatening in transition. Now, the problem with that, today, that's not what happened. Today, Atletico Madrid, they dominated the game. They controlled the game, especially in that first half. They just didn't get the goal. But again, again, when you're talking about Atletico Madrid and in terms of them competing, you have to foreshadow this. As far as this game, is massive points lost, because if you want to compete with Real Madrid, you want to compete for La Liga, you got to take care of these teams. You got to take care of Espanyol at home. This is one of the most easiest games that you're going to get in this campaign. So yeah, it's a bad result for Atletico Madrid. But then now they gotta move on. They play, I believe they play Athletic Club this Saturday, which was part of the reason why they didn't really go with a full set, sort of starting 11. You had Griezmann on the bench, you had Marcus Llorente on the bench, you had Conor Gallagher on the bench, which I'm interested to see when when he's gonna make his, not debut. Is it gonna? Yeah, when did he make his debut yet? Actually, I do not know, because I did not watch the Girona game. Yeah, he did. Where he makes his debut start, though. He hasn't started a game for Atletico Madrid. Will that come against Athletic Club? They rested a few players today. Looking ahead to that Athletic Club game, that game being at the San Mamés Stadium, a difficult stadium to be in, is going to be an exciting game, and it's going to be a very, very important game for Atletico Madrid, because they need to build some sort of momentum going forward into the season.